Hello and welcome to this new Android development tutorial. This is part 3 of how to make a photo editor application for Android. So, as we did in the previous tutorial, we were setting up the take photo button click listener. Right, so inside the onClick listener, we create an intent that it's called take picture intent, new intent media store action image capture. And if that returns null, what we say is your camera app is not compatible, right? Okay, and if it doesn't return a null, we will do the following. So if it's not null, what we will create will be a photo file, right? So to create a photo file, we will do the following. We will create a new method outside the init method right here that will create a photo file for us, or image file in this case. So you're gonna say private file create, oh, don't forget to import the file class. So private file create image file. Okay, we open the method and we will type final string. So basically what we will do here will be get the current date and return a file with that name, right? So you're gonna say final string timestamp. Okay, and we will set this to new simple new simple date format. Okay, the first one. So simple date format, and what we will pass here will be the format of the date we want. In this case, we want the following format. So we have 4 digits for year, right? Then we have 2 for month, so uppercase M. Then we have 2 for day, so lowercase d. And we will create the hour at which the photo was taken. So I'm gonna say HH in capitals, and in lowercase we're gonna say MM, and also SS, because those are the seconds. And then we're gonna say outside this that format. Okay, that format, we're gonna say new format, we open parentheses and we say new date, right? So in this way, we're creating the current date with the format we just specified. And now we're gonna create a file. So I'm gonna say final file. It doesn't have to be final, but it's just kind of a good practice to make it final. So storage dir, okay, which is the directory in which we will save our photo, and that will be set to environment dot get external storage public directory. Okay, and what will pass inside this method will be environment dot directory pictures. So we will save this onto the pictures folder, and we can end the line with a semicolon, and we have now our storage dir file. And what we will return will be the following. So we'll return new file, and we open parentheses, and the first parameter of this will be storage dir plus image file name. Okay, so we haven't created the file name yet, so let me create it just now. So after we create the timestamp, we will create the image file name. So you're gonna say final string, and we will call the string image file name, and I'll set these to double quotes JPEG, right? JPEG actually is slash JPEG because we're in the directory, and here we will put this symbol, and we will concatenate these with timestamp Okay, and then we will concatenate this with that JPG. So that's how we define a JPEG file. So basically what we're telling here is to assign the image file name to JPEG plus the current date with the format we specified in the previous line, and we end the name with a .jpeg extension, right? So after we do that, we go and say return a storage directory plus image file name. Okay, and that's it for this method. So basically that's the create image file method. Okay, so pretty easy. And now we go back to our take photo button right here inside the first if block, and what we will do here will be the following. Will be final file photo file, and we will set this to create image file. So we will call the method we just created right here. Okay, and after we do this, what we will do is the following. We will check if the photo file is null or not. So I can say if photo file is different than null, right? So we will check if photo file is different than null, which we don't really have to because we are creating the file, so it won't be null, right? So if it won't be null, so you're gonna now outside the method, maybe just before the create image file, we will define the image URI. For that, you're gonna say private URI, and we have to import this too. We'll set this to image URI, right? Okay. So, and that's a global variable. And inside this photo file, what we do after creating the image file, we will do the following. We'll say image URI, we will set this to URI from file, and we'll pass photo file. So we're getting the URI of the image file we just created. Now, sometimes, since these will be sending the URI to the activity that takes photo, for example, the camera application of the phone, sometimes this URI can be lost, you know? So to avoid that, we will store that in the storage using shared preference, which is a tool that enables us to store some information on the phone storage. So you're going to say final shared preferences, and I will call this my prefs, right? And I'll set these to get shared preferences, and as the first parameter that I will pass of these preference will be photo editor, because that's kind of the identifier of our application. Okay, and I will create here a string, so I'm gonna say private final private static final string. I call it app ID, right? And I'll set this app ID to photo editor, right? And instead of calling photo editor here, we will pass just our app ID string, right? So you can say app ID, what did I just did here? Okay, so we will pass app ID, okay? And after we pass the app ID, we have to pass the mode, in this case the default mode, which will be 0, right? So that's basically how we create a shared preference. Now we want to save our URI into the preference thing. So we're going to say my prefs dot edit, okay? And I say that put string. It's okay, I want to save a string. And the string I want to save will be called path. Okay, great. So I want to save path, so I'm gonna say photo file dot get absolute path. And after this, I'm gonna say that apply, which means save it. Okay, after we have saved it, now if we lost this URI, we can then recover it from shared preference later. So we will now call the method and specify the method and call it the intent. We'll do the following. So I can say take picture intent, and we'll set this to put extra, okay. And I'll set these will be media store that extra output, okay, extra output, and that the second parameter will pass our image URI, which in this case is image URI, right? And then what we have to do is the same we did previously when we invoked the select picture chooser. We're gonna say start activity for result, and we're gonna say take picture intent as the first parameter, and as the second we're gonna say we're gonna create a new ID that will be specifying that we want an image. So we're gonna create that ID outside the method. We're gonna say private static int static final int, and we will call this request image capture, right? So you can say request request image capture, right? And what will be set to these? It can be set any value like 10, 11, okay, or 10, 12, whatever, 10, whatever value you want, but make sure those values are different between the previous values we used, okay. So we're going to say take picture intent, and as the second parameter we'll pass request image capture, as you can see. So when we do this, these will behave exactly the same as the previous one, but instead of creating a chooser, it will invoke the camera application, and we'll tell the camera application that we want a photo to be taken and be sent back to us. So now we have to go and handle these both possible logics inside of our onActivity result method. Okay, so how can we do it? Well, let's start, because this is kind of a large activity result. So the first thing, as I told you previously, we check if the result is different and result okay, we will return, okay? Then we will check if the request code was an image capture. So if it was a photo, so you can say if request code is equal to request image capture, okay, and in the case this is equal, we will check if the URI was lost, as I was telling you previously. So we're going to say if image URI equals null, this means for some reason the URI was lost in the process, so we have to get it back from shared preference. To do that, we're going to say final shared preferences, and we'll call this P, for example. And what we will do here will be get shared preferences, and as the name of the shared preferences, we will pass app ID, because that was the name we used to save the shared preference, so we have to use the same name to retrieve it. And as the mode will be the default again, which is 0, okay. Okay, so we go to the next line, and what we'll do here will be the path of our file, right? So we're gonna do the following. So we're gonna say final path, and we will set, oh sorry, this is a string, so you can say final string path, and I'll set these to p dot get string, and the string I want to get is path, so I'll pass double quotes path, and a comma here. If it doesn't find any path, we will set it to empty, right? Which is the default value. Now, we want to check if the path is null or not, right? We want to check if the path is null and the length of the path. So I'm gonna say if, oops. So it won't be null because it will be either the path we saved, or can also be this empty thing, which won't be null. So you're gonna check if path.length is less than 1 for some reason. So it's kind of, it doesn't have anything on it. We will recreate the application. So recreate basically says relaunch the application because this is not recoverable and we cannot do anything about it. So this case is very, very strange and almost never happens, but it sometimes happens. So that's why we're checking this. Okay, and if the path is length is greater than 1, we want to return the URI. To return and restore the URI, you're gonna say image URI is equal to URI.parse, okay? And we will parse the URI as follows: double quotes, file, okay? File, a colon, double slash, and outside the double quotes, you can say plus path. And this is how we restore our URI in the case it was lost. But it's not really common, but sometimes really happens. Now, what we want to do here is we want to tell the system that the photo was taken, and we want to tell the system that please scan for the photo because the photo that we just took actually exists. So to tell the system that, we're gonna say send broadcast, okay? Send broadcast new intent, right? And we will open a parenthesis and gonna say intent that action media scanner, okay, action media scanner scan file, okay? So send broadcast new intent action media scanner scan file. So that's the first parameter, and as the second parameter we will pass our image URI. So you can say image URI. So with these we're telling the system that these actually works, right? Okay. So this is if we have request capture, if the image capture. Now, if it's not image capture, we want to get if the image was selection. But sometimes even then it won't return it correctly. So to check if it didn't return correctly, you're gonna say, so this is at the level of request image capture, right? So after we end the if of request image capture, we say else if data equals null. So if for some reason, again, the data equals null, this is just to be very preventive. There may be preventions here. And if the data is null, we will tell the system to recreate our application. So you're gonna say recreate, and then you're gonna say return. So this is very preventive to avoid errors. So we are being very responsible here. Right. Right now we're gonna check. If it's not null, we're gonna go and say else if request code is equal to request pick image. Okay, so we previously handled when the image was taken, and now we're handling when the image is being chosen from the gallery of the file manager or so on. Okay, so if we do this, if we have request pick image and data is not null, this means we can get the URI of the chosen picture using the data intent. So I'm gonna say image URI will be set to data dot get data. Okay, so this is how we get the current data. Okay, so that's it for now. And what we will do now after this else if, we're gonna check we're gonna show a dialog that will say that we're loading the image, because maybe we have a long image and so on. So we're gonna show a dialog right here. So we're gonna go and say final progress dialog. Okay, and oops, we have to import this. So you can use any dialog, really, it doesn't matter, but I will use progress dialog because I'm kind of used to it. So I'm gonna say final progress dialog equals to dialog progress dialog that show, and what I will pass here will be main activity that these, which is the current context. Okay, and the title of this dialog will be like loading. Okay, and the message of the dialog will be please wait, for example, if it takes some time to load the image, right? So please wait, and we're gonna say indeterminate, which will be set to true because it can take some time to complete this, right? So that's our dialog. And what we will do now is we will actually call our, so if we get this far, this means that we have get the image successfully. So if we get the image successfully, we want to show a new user interface. So we don't want to show the current user interface that has two buttons, one to take photo and one to select photo. We want to use another user interface. So before continuing with the main activity.java file, we will go to our activity main.xml file, right? So why do we do this? Because we want to create the new user interface that will enable us to actually edit photos, right? So to do this, we're gonna go here, and after the welcome screen, we're gonna go and create a new linear layout. So you gotta say linear layout width will be set to match parent, height will be set also to match parent. The ID of this new linear layout will be set to edit screen. Okay, so previously we had a welcome screen and now we have an edit screen. But the edit screen won't be shown as default, so you're gonna say visibility and gone. So we will show this only when we want it to be shown, right? So we also have to set the orientation of the linear layout, so you're gonna say orientation vertical. Okay, now we can open the linear layout object right here, and we can start coding our actual photo editor. So first of all, we will create an image view. So this image view will show our picture, right? So you're gonna create image view. We'll set the width to match parent. The height will be set to 0 dp, and the weight will be set to 1. So it will be stretched depending on the device screen size. The ID of this image view will be just image view. Okay, so we need an ID to access it from Java, so that's why we are adding an ID. So after we created the image view, what we will do will be we will create a linear layout that will have some buttons right here. Okay, so we will go ahead and do the following. Okay, so we'll create a linear layout. So we open and say linear layout. The width will be set to match parent. The height will be set to 50 dp. The orientation will be set to horizontal. Okay, and inside this linear layout, here we will have to define the buttons that our layout will have. So these will be the actual features of our photo editor. So we can create and say button, and width will be 0 dp, the height will be match parent, and the text will be we don't really yet define the feature, so I will call it just feature 1. Okay, and I also have to set the weight because I am setting the width to 0, so I can set weight to 1, and I will create another one of this, so just for you to have the feel of how this will work. Okay, and I will call this feature 2. Okay, so now we basically have this, but remember this is set to gone. So if we go back to our main activity.java file, and here after we create our progress dialog, what we have to do is we have to change the UI accordingly. Okay, so we have to change the UI accordingly. So how do we change the UI? Well, first we are switching from the welcome screen to the edit screen, right? So to do that, we will have to create a flag. So before the onActivity result method, we will create a private boolean flag that will be called edit mode. And as default it will be false. Okay, but here we have to switch the edit mode to true because we're entering in the edit mode. So you can say edit mode, and we will set this equal to true. Oops, true. Okay, and after we do this, we will do the following. We have to get the welcome screen and hide it, and we want to get the edit screen and show it. Okay, so to do that, we'll do the following. We're gonna say find view by ID r.id.welcome screen and that set visibility, and I will set this to gone because I want to hide the welcome screen. And I'm gonna say find view by ID r.id.edit screen, and I'll set this to visible. So set visibility visible, as you can see. So just to make sure this works, we will run this application now and check how it is behaving, right? Okay, so if we get here, we have our photo editor. If we click on select image, okay, the file manager is opened, and if I click on this image, it says loading and it goes back here, right? So we haven't we have to hide the dialog, right? So we have to hide the dialog out after we did all this procedure, right? So we're gonna say dialog dot cancel, maybe. So this will be more relevant later when we actually create the bitmap, but for now, just leave it as you can see right now, okay? Then later we will fix all of this. So let's try it again. So select image, I select the image, and as you can see, this is the previous screen is hidden, and this is the new screen that is shown, which has two buttons at the bottom of the screen. One of them is feature 1 and the other is feature 2. Okay, so basically the white thing right here is the image view in which the image will be shown, but we will do that in the next tutorial. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I see you in the next one. Bye.